Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of RedFoxComms. Now last week, uploads were pretty sparse, but we're back, we're on the summer grind, we're going to be hopefully getting to 3K this summer. Let's go, let's get into the story. Now unfortunately, the story for my return isn't a very positive story, but then again, what positive stories have I ever covered on this channel? It's all about that negativity, boys. Now in all seriousness, this story isn't anything we can laugh at. Typically, I like to cover things that you can find the humor in, but in this particular instance, it's really nothing to laugh about. In fact, it just shows how sad our nation has become, that we're giving kids 6 years in prison for jokes and words they say on the internet. Now, what on earth am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this situation with Josh Pillault. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his last name. It's my best shot. Deal with it. I'm sorry. But that's not what's important. What's important is the fact that Josh Pillault, 6 years ago, made some questionable comments in a game of RuneScape when he was arguing with one of the players in there. These questionable statements led him to have to serve 6 years in prison. He just recently got out, and now he has to restart his entire life because the government decided that what he said in a video game was deemed too offensive and he had to serve crime, as if he was a serious criminal. It's honestly ridiculous, but before I go any further, let me just lay down the facts so that you have context. Now I'm going to be citing an article from PC Gamer. The article itself is titled, "Man Jailed 6 Years for Threats Made in RuneScape Finally Released." Now, in my opinion, the article does a very good job of giving an unbiased take on the whole situation, and here are the main facts of the situation. So 6 years ago, 19-year-old Josh Pillault got into an argument on RuneScape. Another player called Pillault insane and told him to commit suicide. The argument only escalated from there, and at some point in his response, Pillault would say he would level local Mississippi high school Oxford High. Pillault also alluded to the Columbine shooting and said he could not wait to blow the brains out of skulls. Now he says a lot of more questionable stuff in this argument, and 4 days later he was then arrested and eventually tried for 6 years in prison because the court decided he was a threat to security. I thought we operated under the basis of innocent until proven guilty, but apparently not in this situation. It was never proven that he was going to act upon his actions. In fact, he himself states that he merely said these outrageous things to troll the other guy and to get a response out of him. He never was going to act on these things. He didn't just lay out his entire battle plans to shoot up the school right in front of this guy. That's ridiculous. He was just saying these things to anger the other guy. And you could argue that that's not the right thing to do, and you're probably right, but that's not what we're talking about today. That's irrelevant. Whether or not he should have said these things is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that he had to serve 6 years for words that he said over the internet, not actions, for words. That's ridiculous. The fact that words are so powerful. He probably should have been punished. I mean, school shooters have said questionable things online, and if action had been taken place, possible school shootings could have been prevented. But in this instance, he shouldn't have been given 6 whole years. Like, the government will either, if the government sees signs of someone being a school shooter, they'll either do nothing about it and let the school shooting actually take place, or in this instance, they'll go completely overboard and throw an innocent man in jail, an innocent kid in jail for 6 years of his life. What is wrong with this society? 6 years for words? Are you joking? This has to be some sort of sick joke. Well, it is not. Now, the article goes on to state that there wasn't a proper investigation that took place. According to the article, the FBI examined Pillault's computer, and according to the case file, found numerous documents pertaining to the creation of bombs and other explosive devices. The file says his computer also had folders containing pictures and information about the Columbine shooting and several serial killers. Additionally, the FBI said that YouTube history showed that Pillault had searched for a game called Super Columbine Massacre RPG, as well as instructions on how to make a sawed-off shotgun and information about Molotov cocktails. Now that all sounds really bad and almost damning for his case, until we take a look at the context behind why he had all this stuff on his computer. Now, the first damning piece of evidence was the shooter video game. However, this is a video game. I mean, there's a lot of violence in video games, and a lot of people own violent video games like Grand Theft Auto or something. So him owning this game doesn't really mean anything. It's just the fact that he owns a game that's violent and has school shootings in it doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, it's a violent video game. A lot of people play violent video games. For the next pieces of evidence, the article goes on to cite, Pillault tells me that other evidence mainly came from a text file that he had downloaded called Jolly Roger's Cookbook, a manifesto similar to the more famous Anarchist Cookbook. Pillault tells me that he never He was never interested in bomb making techniques, but was instead after information like how to game vending machines or hack phones. A quick look at the table of contents of Jolly Roger's cookbook shows that such topics are indeed included. As for files on Columbine and serial killers, Pillault says researching such tragedies is par for the course in his family. Most of my family has been into criminal justice or law school in one form or another, he said in his video. Since I was a relatively young child, we've discussed killers and serial killers. We were always kind of interested what could go so wrong in a person's life to make them think that that was okay. I had no intention of finding out for myself what it may feel like to do these things to other people. I just had a bit of an interest in the macabre. But of course the court wasn't interested in hearing his testimonies. They sentenced him anyway, and he just now got out of jail. The article goes on to state how he spent his time in jail as productive as possible, picking up a hobby and reading books, reading over 1,000 books. But despite developing this new hobby and reading all this new information, he still feels like he's wasted a huge chunk of his life. And now he's going to have to be starting over a lot. He's going to have to start college at an older age than most people do. He's going to have to live with his parents for a bit longer than most people usually do. And he's going to have to find a job, again, longer than most people usually start looking for jobs. This is all due to the court system screwing him over in an infamous way. I hope more people find this story and more courts realize that the internet is a much different landscape than what they're used to, and it's time to reevaluate certain measures in certain places. Should he have been punished? Probably. But to this extent, absolutely not. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, you know what button to press. Subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Twitch, which I'll be live on later. And I'm AugieRFC, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, guys.
Oh, it's your world. I ain't nothing but a squirrel trying to get a nut. Just jealous of everybody that's headed out on that Boblo boat. It is the perfect weather, the perfect time to enjoy a few snacks